Hey everyone, this is Jeremy, aka Stratix, taking a look at an RPG made on RPG Maker called Echoes of Aetheria. This is by Dancing Dragon Games, and also, I believe, just published by Digica. Dancing Dragon made this, the same people who made Skyborn, and I think they made Deadly Sins 1 and 2, all made on RPG Maker. Now, I don't remember what version of RPG Maker those other games were made on, but this is their newest. It was just released today, January 15th it was released. And this game, I want to give a somewhat short, but I think dense review comparison of this game. I'm just going to pick up on my last save file because I don't want to do a let's play. I just want to give an impression. So this is a little bit into the game we get, sort of like at the end of what some people might consider a chapter. I don't think they call it a chapter, but sort of a decent cut into the next area and part of the story. So, this game, overall, I think it's a really great game, especially for being made on RPG Maker. I talked to Aloe, Jessica, who did a review of this as well. And I had talked to her previously about a little bit about this game and about Skyborn. But just this game, for starters, once we get through the dialogue, I'll show some of the menus and features. Basically, all in all, it's a very tight, well-produced package, especially for being made on RPG Maker. It shows a professional hand at making a really good game with what's provided to you. So, we're getting into this next little area, and you can see there's some pretty good dialogue. I haven't really been refreshing myself as I'm giving commentary, because I do the commentary live while I'm playing it. I don't record commentary over top of my pre-recorded video. But the menus, the functionality of the game is good and solid and well done. The menus, the artwork, the pacing of the gameplay and combat. Like I said, all in all, it's a real tight package. It reminds me of a really good book. Now, it's made on RPG Maker, and I've seen both what I would consider poorly made attempts and really just mind-blowingly awesome attempts with using the different RPG Maker engines. I haven't really I've seen very, very few complete games that are what I would call mind-blowing. There is little pieces, like you can look up on YouTube, you can look up battle screens and battle animations, or what people have done tinkering with just parts of what would go into a game made with RPG Maker, and some of that is just absolutely amazing. I think if people saw exactly what you could do with RPG Maker, they might have a different opinion, because there's this camp of people that seem to be very into the community, and then there's a camp that, when a game releases on Steam, if they see the name RPG Maker, they're just like, oh, I saw RPG Maker, that's it. And I'm not going to argue whether some of that is called for or whether some of that's legitimate or not. In some ways it is, some ways it's not, but to stay closer to home to this game and review, I've seen some user interfaces that were made that work in RPG Maker that were just like, that had my, you know, my jaw dropped. I was like, that's really amazing. Like, really, really artistic, redone elements to the whole screen that were just amazing. Like, so super unique. They looked absolutely nothing like a game that was made with RPG Maker. Like, battle scenarios and battle screens that had people fighting in side view battles with just all kinds of professional looking animations going off, and the little chibi looking characters moving and bouncing around, and all kinds of special effects, and really, really stunning. And but I've never seen a completed game with all of that stunningness. What I want to do is I want to look at some system settings here. So everything is in here is well done. It functions well. It has pretty much everything you need. It has some of these different screen sizes: windowed, large, full screen, and full screen plus. I'm actually playing in full screen plus just to give it a go. It seems to stretch the screen to full screen, but I mean, it seems to make it full screen without stretching the image. And regular full screen seems to stretch the image to my widescreen monitor. I don't know if that's the difference or only difference. But you can see here lots of neat artwork. I really am digging the artwork for the game. So let me get back to just what I was, you know, trying to hit home here about this game. This game reminds me a little bit of something like what you would find packaged with some kind of video games making software to be a good example, a shining example of what could be made with that game engine. So, at the same time, I'm gonna say I don't think it's gonna win. It's not like this super unique, fresh, amazing, mind-blowing thing that it seems to still stay quite close to home, but it seems to stay close to home. It keeps most everything that RPG Maker does almost by default. It stays close to that. It just utilizes all of that to a very good polished level. So it's not trying to break the mold, it's just trying to be the best at that mold, at that default mold, and so to speak. But now Skyborn fits that to a T, and does some very neat little things that are different within that. You can do this simple but fun and neat little crafting you can perform. You can find little ores in that. It's somewhat simplistic, but it works. It works well, and it's kind of neat. The story, like I said, if I related this to a book, let's say if I related Skyborn to a book, I would say it's a really good book, and I would recommend it. I would say, hey, you know, this might be something you find in the fantasy section at your bookstore, but it might not be next to or compared to, like, Lord of the Rings or A Song of Ice and Fire, or, you know, the Chronicles of the Chronicles of Narnia, things like that. This would be more like in the section of Star Wars novels and Warhammer 40k novels, and based off of pre-existing IPs, where it's not really shattering the mold, but it's a really good story. The dialogue is written well. It has a professional touch, this artwork here in Echoes. So far, that's the impression I get. I've played about an hour and a half of this game so far, and that's the impression I get. It's neat, it's enjoyable, and it does a little bit to stretch to get away from stock RPG Maker. It has. Now, Echoes of Aetheria seems to have built off of the Skyborn mold. I noticed right away that it seems to already kind of look and feel and function similar to the systems and how they made Skyborn. So I'm wondering how much of that is just taking the Skyborn template and then going from there to make a new story. Because the crafting seems a little bit similar. There's a little thing where you can find these little glimmering nodes that give you XP just for finding them, and that's helps give incentive to explore and look around. The artwork is really good. I'm trying to remember the artwork from Skyborn. I remember really loving the artwork in Skyborn, especially the character portrait for the main character, and I really like this character portrait of Ingrid, so the artwork's really good too. Now this is what I'm talking about, the crafting. This is pretty much identical. You'd find an anvil or whatever, and you could find little lumps of coal, things like that. So we're gonna take a quick peek at this so you can look at. They might have built off of that a little bit more. I wonder if they expanded. I actually don't know. I didn't play that, so I can't speak on that. So don't. I'm not gonna give a final word on that. But this is essentially very similar to how you start in Skyborn with crafting. This is probably where we'll get, we're gonna get some stuff here. So that's gonna do it. Now let's take a look at some of the pages here, some of the menus, and maybe try to get into a fight. This is also very interesting, and I think it adds bulk to the game. They added a ton of flavor text in the form of like an atlas or an encyclopedia, and I think that's kind of really cool. Again, I liken it to a book, a good book. So here's the kingdom of. Whoops, I can't get out of that. I guess I have to exit and then pick a new one. I'm getting a little bit of lag as I try to scroll between these. I don't know if that's just the engine bogging down or something, because these are different files that are needing to load instantly as I scrolled by, because when I scroll over it, see different picture loads, so it's probably calling a command in the RPG Maker engine, I'm guessing. Let's exit all of that. We already looked at the character menu. Now here's the next big thing that's different. So I just said it seems to have taken the Skyborn mold but built on it somewhat, and this is one way. This seems to be the biggest single aspect of this game that differentiates it from Skyborn and other RPG Maker games. They seem to have made a totally new, for this game, I'm not saying it's a totally new combat system in all games ever. I'm just saying this has a new, like, tile-based, formation-based RPG combat system, is what I'm trying to say. And you can do things like set her because she uses a gun. You can set Ingrid to the rear, behind your main character, so she doesn't get. So he guards her, that kind of thing. And that's kind of neat. Skyborn, I think, used some kind of stock battler, I think they call them, where sort of like a dungeon crawl view, where the enemy, just an icon or a picture of the enemy showed up, and then at the very bottom was the stats for each character in your party. So that's the biggest, in my mind, the biggest difference. So I don't want to give away too much of this story in that, because it really is good, and so far what I've shown should give you a decent taste. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end it there. If you felt I left something out, just ask, and I'll try to get to it in the comments. But you can find this on zero-friction.net. I'm probably going to put it also up on my Patreon, patreon.com/Stratix, STRATX. You can find me on Twitter. I'm Stratix Gaming, same as my YouTube, which is Stratix Gaming, all one word. So look for maybe an accompanying written review as well as this video on zero-friction.net in the near future. And check it out on Steam. I'm forgetting the price right now, but I'll try to have all pertinent information and links in the comments section or in the description box below the video. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and thank you for checking out my videos on my Patreon and on my YouTube. I always appreciate it. And just throw me a line on Twitter if you feel like it. I use Twitter a lot. And I'll see everybody in the next video.